everybody. Welcome to the City Commission meeting of November 9th, 2021. We have a short agenda for you tonight, and I will go ahead and call this meeting to order. Val, please call the roll.
Commissioner Penny, Commissioner Curry, Commissioner Danio,
Here.
Commissioner Johnson,
Here.
Mayor Villa.
Here. And at this time, I'll remind everyone to please silence your cell phones or any electronic devices that may make noise. And I'll ask you all to please stand for the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you today to pray, to ask for your blessings on this meeting, this City Commission meeting. Dear God, we ask you, as always, to bless our community. Dear Lord, please protect and support all of our men and women on the front lines, our first responders. Dear God, we thank you for all of these things. I pray in Jesus' name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you for that. And we will go ahead and kick off our meeting. We have two very important presentations to read into record tonight. The first one will be to Officer Robert Culver, who's here with us tonight, and this is for his retirement and 20 years of service. So I have here a proclamation by the Mayor of the City of Holly Hill, Florida. Whereas Robert Joseph Culver has been an outstanding police officer for the City of Holly Hill from October 26, 2001 to November 2nd, 2021, and has served the community at large for the past 20 years. And whereas he has demonstrated his commitment to the community and police department by holding several positions within the police department to include patrol officer, criminal investigator, and as a corporal. And whereas he was selected as an officer of the quarter and has received several commendations through his years of service. And whereas Officer Culver has obtained several certifications and advanced training to include, but not limited to, field training officer, interviews and interrogations, narcotics and dangerous drugs investigations, line supervisor, and injury and death investigation. And whereas he is a dedicated father to his daughter Ashley and is a role model for other fathers, and whereas his friends and colleagues and virtually everyone that knows Robert Seabass Culver is honored to be a part of his inner circle, and for those who have had the privilege to be a part of the Holly Hill Police Department, they are proud to have served along his side. And whereas we are truly grateful for his service and commitment to the citizens of Holly Hill. Now therefore, I, Chris Villa, Mayor of the City of Holly Hill, Florida, and by virtue of the authority vested in me as Mayor and on behalf of the City Commission, do hereby proclaim November 9th, 2021 as a day of recognition to Robert Culver. Congratulations. If you could put your hands together for Mr. Culver. Can you come on up? Come on up, Robert. Let's go down. So I'll be presenting him with the proclamation, and then if the City Commission can take a picture. Sure. So let's go back here. Here, Chief, come on this side.
Okay. Touch that. I'm not getting the picture for John. More broken.
It's got a little story.
On the other two.
Yeah, come on in.
What are you going to tell me? Don't answer that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Enjoy your retirement.
I am.
All right, and before you all leave, I'd ask you to, we have one more proclamation, and then after that, you don't have to stay around for the boring meeting if you don't want to. But this is another special proclamation. You know, we have two dedicated members retiring recently, which is sad for us in a way because of how many years that they've spent in this community and how much love they've poured in to this community. But I look back there and we have a few new officers and new faces back there, and we hope to be able to, and I know I speak for the City Commission when I say that, hope to support you guys to the fullest extent so you can have long careers as well, just like these two gentlemen. So at this time, I want to read this proclamation into the record for Jefferson Jeff Traylor. Proclamation by the Mayor of the City of Holly Hill, Florida, whereas Jefferson Jeff Traylor has been an outstanding police officer for the City of Holly Hill from April 1st, 1997 to November 12th, 2021, and has served the community at large for the past 24 years. And whereas he has demonstrated his commitment to the community and police department by holding progressively responsible positions within the police department to include patrol officer, criminal investigator, and as a corporal. And whereas Officer Traylor was selected as Officer of the Year by his peers in 2014 and as Officer of the Quarter, and has received several commendations through his years of service. And whereas Officer Traylor has obtained several certifications and advanced training to include, but not limited to, interviews and interrogations, narcotics and dangerous drug investigations, sex crimes investigations, line supervisor, and middle management. And whereas he has solved several high-priority cases, making the City of Holly Hill a safer place to live and visit. And whereas friends and colleagues and virtually everyone that knows Jeff is honored to be a part of his circle, and for those who have had the privilege to be a part of the Holly Hill Police Department, they are proud to have served along his side. And whereas we are truly grateful for his service and commitment to the citizens of Holly Hill. Now therefore I, Chris Villa, Mayor of the City of Holly Hill, Florida, and by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor and on behalf of the City Commission, do hereby proclaim November 9th, 2021 as a day of recognition to Jeff Traylor. Congratulations.
Whereas, there's a salad.
Thank you. Proclamation. Give those two men another round of applause. Thank you so much for your service, and at this time, if you'd like to get out of here, you are more than welcome to. All right, so at this time, we will go to our public comments. This is the audience's opportunity to speak to the commission about anything not on our regular agenda tonight. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to the commission? Yes, Gillis.
My name is Commissioner Blaze, past Holly Hill training officer. One of our officers that was retiring tonight was a second-generation Holly Hill police officer. His father was Mark Culver, did 20 years with Holly Hill, while his son was in the service in the Marine Corps overseas. Then he came out of the Marine Corps and joined the police department. So it's a second-generation Holly Hill police officer. Certain cities, they do recognize that, but I think Holly Hill should be doing this for individuals that are second-generation and third-generation first responder. That's all, Mayor, Commissioners. Thank you. And happy Veterans Day, Armistice Day.
Thank you, Commissioner. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak to the commission? All right, seeing none, I'll close public comments. We'll move to the approval of the minutes from October 12th, the workshop on ARPA.
Second.
A motion for approval from Commissioner Johnson and a second from Commissioner Danio. Any discussion needed? Would anyone in the audience like to speak on the minutes tonight? Seeing none, I'll close public participation. We'll take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Now moving to our consent agenda. There's only one item on here. Do either of you need discussion on this item? All right. At this time, we will open this up to the public. Would anybody like to speak about the item on the consent agenda? Seeing none, I'll close public participation. I'll entertain a motion for approval.
Motion to approve.
Did you second it, Commissioner Johnson?
I didn't have any choice.
I know. Otherwise, I got to move my gavel over. So we have a second?
I did second.
We have a motion and a second? All right. This has no discussion, so all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Now moving to our regular agenda, Resolution 2021-R-94. Mr. Simpson.
Resolution number 2021-R-94 by title only for first and only reading. A resolution of the City of Holly Hill, Florida, amending the fiscal year 2021-2022 annual operating budget, appropriating open project carryover funds from the fiscal year 2020-2021 to the fiscal year 2021-2022 budget, setting forth revenues and expenditures, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you very much, Scott. Mr. Forte.
Yeah, this budget amendment is for the purpose of buying, which are two items that are left coming up on your agenda. I have a sneeze coming. One is for a spotter truck, which we'll talk about, and the other is for park improvements for Sunrise Park, but this will transfer the funds over to the appropriate line item.
All right. Any questions for staff? At this time, we'll open this up to the public. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to the commission on this item? All right, seeing none, I will entertain a motion for approval.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
We have a motion for approval from Commissioner Johnson and a second from Commissioner Danio. Any discussion needed? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Number 2, Resolution 2021-R-95. Mr. Simpson.
Resolution number 2021-R-95 by title only for first and only reading. A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Holly Hill, Florida, approving the waiver of the formal bid procedure for the purchase of a used spotter truck in an amount not to exceed $75,000 and authorizing the city manager to execute the same and providing for severability and providing an effective date.
Thank you. Mr. Forte.
So this is a vehicle that's used, it's almost like the tractor of an 18-wheeler. It's a small, heavy-duty truck that's used to move the sludge container around over in the Public Works in the yard. They're few and far between, so this is for a used vehicle, up to $75,000. They do come available. Generally, very few of them are in-state, a lot of them are out-of-state, but when they pop up on these sale websites, we need to try to grab it as fast as we can. That's why we're asking to waive the procurement process and allow us to go ahead and just monitor the websites for when these become available, and if one is available, and we'll do whatever due diligence we can in preparing for it, and make that purchase and get it on site.
Is there one available right now? Or there was, right?
Probably not, no.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
They come up in ones or twos. There's very few people, very few resellers of these pieces of equipment. I know there's one in Georgia, and there are a couple different places. But they come up few and far between, and when they do, we need to jump on it quick. We don't have time to bid it.
Okay, all right. Are there any further questions for staff? No. At this time, we'll open this up to the public. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to the commission on this item? Seeing none, I'll close public participation. I'll entertain a motion for approval.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion for approval from Commissioner Danio and a second from Commissioner Johnson. Any discussion needed? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Now moving to number 3, Resolution 2021-R-96. Mr. Simpson.
Resolution number 2021-R-96 by title only for first and only reading. A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Holly Hill, Florida, approving the purchase of picnic tables, park benches, and barbecue grills from Pride Industries at a cost of $27,463.01, and authorizing the city manager to execute the same and providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Mr. Simpson. Mr. Forte.
So what we're purchasing here are the benches, the picnic tables, and barbecue grills for Sunrise Park. We're purchasing them through Florida Prison Industries, through Pride. They had the most competitive pricing. The issue with them is that there was some language in their contract that said that it's got to be based on the materials, but even after we price check those with the 2 other bids that we received, we're better off piggybacking off of the Pride contract.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any questions for staff? At this time, we'll open this up to the public. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak? Yes, Ms. Heidi?
Hi there, I'm Heidi Heller of 460 Ridgewood Avenue here in the beautiful Holly Hill. I'm hoping that all the old benches are actually put to good use instead of disappeared like they did in Pictona. I would rather have them go to the multitude of parks, even though they may be exposed. It's better than not having them, and the park with the bench makes it more friendly. Realizing you need a trash can, typically when you have benches and things like that, maybe we'll just deal with it when it happens, but I don't like the idea that these benches will be lost. Thank you.
Thank you, Heidi. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak to the commission on this item tonight? Seeing none, I'll close public participation. And as I understand it, Ms. Heller, they will be reused in, I believe, the 7th Street Park.
Only if
And
they're in good condition.
if they're in good enough condition.
I don't know what we're talking about with disappearing benches from Hollyland Park.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, but to answer your question, we will be looking to reuse them. So thank you for your comment. I just want to say, before I ask for a motion, thank you to Mr. Forte. This commission brought this up as one of our goals to step it up at Sunrise Park and to create a better atmosphere over there. And I think that we're taking these little steps and doing it really well. And I want to thank you and your staff for also keeping this well under budget as well. So
It's the staff, it's Steve doing a lot of the hard work, and Stella doing the purchasing side of it. So it's I just asked them to do it, they do it.
we ask you to do it, and then they do it.
That's how it
So
works.
thank you for that.
Most of the time. Right, Antoine? Most of the time.
But that's for a different conversation. All right, with that, I'll ask for a motion for approval.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Johnson and a second from Commissioner Danio. Any discussion needed? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Now moving to number 4, Resolution 2021-R-97.
Resolution number 2021-R-97 by title only for first and only reading. A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Holly Hill, Florida, authorizing piggyback in Volusia County Master Agreement 70047A with Granite Inliner LLC and approving the project stormwater pipe lining on Elizabeth Street and Tuscaloosa Avenue for Granite Liner LLC, Inliner LLC, in the amount not to exceed $197,000, and providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Mr. Simpson. Mr. Forte?
That's what it is. It's a piggyback contract to do stormwater pipelining on those 2 roads. Much needed.
So I know that we have spoken in the past about Elizabeth Avenue there and a little bit of puddling and flooding issue. This is not fixing that, though, correct?
No, the problem that we have with that is the location of where a catch basin would be would cause us to have to realign sidewalks on both Riverside Drive and Elizabeth Street.
Okay,
So it's a little bit more complicated than just dropping in a catch basin or changing it.
this was because they were crumbling in, correct?
These are collapsing stormwater pipes, yeah.
Okay, all right. Has to be done then. Any further questions from the commission? Now we'll open this up to the public. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this item tonight? Seeing none, I'll close public participation, and I'll entertain a motion for approval.
Motion.
We have a motion for approval from Commissioner Danio and a second from Commissioner Johnson. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Now moving to communications. We're getting through this meeting very fast.
I actually have two items. The first is dealing with the property at 8th and Ridgewood that we were doing the eminent domain on the easement. I updated the commission with an email a couple of weeks ago that the property owner filed an inverse condemnation. We sent that off to the insurance company to defend us on. Scott and I and the attorney for the insurance company had a couple of conference calls, and the property owner hired Christy Wilson, who is a well-known and reputable inverse condemnation attorney that generally brings in so many experts that it runs the price of everything sky high, and generally he's not going to lose, especially in the situation that we're in. So we tried to negotiate pricing to do the purchase of the entire property, and after going back and forth 2 times, we've agreed to do a purchase of the property for $230,000. The $200,000 is basically what he wanted for the original purchase of the property. The $30,000 is probably going to be something toward the attorney's fees. Our insurance company has agreed to pay, I capped us out at $200,000. They agreed to pay the $30,000. So we'd like to go ahead and get that settled, and we will take ownership of the entire property.
All right. Any questions for staff?
I'm out of the CRA project.
Did they already accept the offer? Or
It's my
not?
understanding they have, and it's going to be, instead of a traditional closing with real estate contract, things like that, we are going to get a final order of eminent domain, giving us the property pursuant to the pending court action. So it's not going to come back as a purchase and sale contract with title insurance and things like that.
It's not going to come back as that?
It's going to be, we're getting it through a court order,
Okay.
which is what we would get if we went to court. But just for the, if we'd have gone through, we would have got the easement that way.
Okay.
And that's how you get it. If you eminent domain the entire property, that's what you get. But it's really almost better than doing title insurance because you have a court order saying you're the owner.
Okay.
And what I'll do is I'm going to update just our title commitment just to make sure, our title search that we did a while back, when we started the process, I'm just going to update it, make sure there's no other liens that have been popped up, just to make sure. But we recorded it as pendants, which puts them on notice that we have priority and that there's a pending eminent domain action. So that takes priority over with them anyway. But I
Okay.
just want to make sure it's clarified.
All right.
That there are no other liens.
Yeah, and I know this was completely unintentional, but you and I, Mr. Forte, have spoken about this can't ever happen any time again, and I know that there's protocols now that will make sure that doesn't happen, correct?
Well, depending upon what this commission wants to do with Phase 2 of that project, before we move forward with any of the construction, we want to make sure we have all of the easements in place.
Okay, awesome. Any questions? At this time, we'll open this up to the public. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this item? All right, seeing none, I'll close public participation. So what do we need to do here? A motion?
Motion to authorize us to enter into this settlement.
Yeah.
Okay,
Motion to approve settlement for $230,000 with the city paying $200,000.
okay.
I
Can someone make that?
motion according to Scott's explanation.
Thank you. You're going to second it?
I didn't second it yet. You waited on a second.
I'm trying to wait on one. You're the only one.
I'm thinking about it. It's pretty much a done deal. He ain't gonna back out and say, now I want 330 of them.
I would hope not.
I mean, we don't have a binding contract with them, if that's what you're saying. What we need to do is submit there's a discussion between the attorneys. There may be something in writing confirming it, but we just need to get the final judgment submitted to court to finalize it. It would be no different than if he verbally said, I would do a contract for that amount. We'll think about the easement, for instance. We had a verbal to buy the easement for a certain price, and then when he got the contract, he said no. So,
Mhm.
But they're only paying $100,000 more than his property value that.
Mhm.
And I mean, And we've been down the road with him so many times, we don't know what he's gonna do, but
Well, he has an attorney now who said he's agreeing to it,
but
so.
I'll second it so we can see if we can make it work this time.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I think the alternative is to spend even more money and go through the legal process, and it's unfortunate that someone like that is taking an advantage of this situation, but we're here at this juncture, so I think that the Band-Aid has to be ripped off and do exactly what we can, so. All right, so did you second it officially? All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion, further discussion needed? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
The second thing is Marta Pascal's agreement with the city. She's representing us for the Realtor on the property that we're trying to sell. The only property that's left right now is the 6th Street property, but when we purchased this property at 8th Street, I was hoping that we can use that for the location of a fire station. It's not going to fit on that parcel, so I'd like to go ahead and also get that listed for sale. And if you're in agreement with that, I'd like to extend Marta's agreement for another year. She did come to the meeting tonight. She wants to get up and just speak to the commission for a moment, explaining what her marketing techniques are going to be. And if you're in agreement with that, we'll execute another one-year agreement with her to represent the property.
All right, thank you, Mr. Forte.
But I'd also like to know if you're ready to list the 8th Street property, if
Okay.
that's what we intend.
And you need all that in a form of a motion or
Yeah.
just consent?
In
Okay.
a motion.
All right, Ms. Marta, would you like to come on up?
We don't have it yet, so we can.
When we own it.
Huh?
When we own it.
When?
How you doing? Thank you for being here tonight.
Yes. Marta Pascal, 9 Captiva at Lions Paw, Daytona Beach, Florida. That's a very recent move. I am disappointed it wasn't to the city of Holly Hill. I'll be honest about that.
Just outside.
And it happened very, very quickly. I've
That's
been
a beautiful
in Portland
neighborhood, though.
forever and never thought this would happen. But anyway, that's another story. I have intended to come to these commission meetings much more frequently than I have, but I've learned that the life of a Realtor can get quite busy, especially in this market. So, but I do think of you, and I do speak of Holly Hill so fondly and so proudly. I want you to know that. We've had a relationship, Adams Cameron and Company Realtors in the city of Holly Hill, at least this go-around for 2 years now. It's hard to believe that. We were able to sell the 5 residential properties and the property on Riverside Drive. We are continuing to try to sell 627 Ridgewood. There has been significant interest in that property. However, the vision of the city, which is all important, and some of those interested in that parcel just have not lined up. And really, a lot of times, it's a conversation, and it's an interesting conversation, but until something is in writing, until it's a contract, until it's a formal offer, it's not real anyway. So I definitely want to thank your city manager because he has helped me learn so much in the last 2 years, believe me, and been very collegial and always available when I needed to run an idea past him or a potential buyer past him as well. So very early on, there was a lot of the first thing that happens is the property goes into the MLS. There are probably thousands of MLS, and people don't realize that. Some people think there's one MLS. Well, there isn't. There are many. The first place it went was in the Daytona MLS. As soon as that happens, that is what feeds Realtor.com and Trulia and Zillow and all those other platforms that are out there. I also put the property in Stellar MLS, and most people, when they think of Stellar, they think of Orlando. That is true, but it's 17 counties in Central and West Florida. So just the MLS alone gives it a lot of exposure. I have put it in the News Journal, not recently. I have put it in the News Journal. I have put it in real estate magazines. Early on, it was like anything I could think of I was doing, but it didn't move the property. And again, in part, I commend you for this, the vision of the city. What the commission has done and staff has done with Pictona. I mean, we have to keep going there because what a jewel in the crown of the city of Holly Hill that is. It's made Holly Hill a destination. We realize that. Again, with your vision, with that prime property, and I, for one, am shocked that a buyer has not come along, because that's 200 feet of frontage, almost 2 acres of property, access from a side street. I'm just shocked that there aren't buyers literally lined up. But again, it's got to match the vision of the city, and it's also got to match where it is. Behind that property is residential, and we have to keep that in mind as well. So what have I done? Well, lately, and what have I done? I reached out to Wawa. I told you all that at one point. I think that would be a great location for a Wawa, but Wawa didn't think so. It didn't match their business model. Their business model talks about, I think it's a 200, I can't remember now, 200 maybe yard, I can't remember, but whatever it was 200 something, a radius of 200 something, I can't remember now what it was. But they said, in your 200, it's fish. So, and fish don't buy anything. So again, it just didn't fit their business model. I most recently spoke to a Chick-fil-A franchise owner. And he spent a lot of time with me. I appreciated that. He helped me understand a little bit more how Chick-fil-A works. But I'm thinking a Chick-fil-A on that location would do extremely well.
It really
Have you
would.
seen how they are lined up at
Yeah.
about any Chick-fil-A you pass? So, and maybe COVID helped that, I don't know. But apparently, franchisees have nothing to do with selecting the parcel of land. There's a Chick-fil-A real estate department, and they're the ones, like Wawa, they have their own people who find the property.
And they like to be by a highway, I understand as well.
There are certain criteria, and we really didn't go into what they all are, because that wasn't really his role. But again, he helped me have an understanding, excuse me, but trying to talk to an individual who really could effect the change or affect the conversation is a real challenge. So it's Chick-fil-A real estate, Chick-fil-A corporate. I'm not shy. I'll reach out. I constantly brainstorm with myself. What else can I do? Who else can I reach out to? I have reached out to some individuals that I thought might be interested in that property. But again, so far, it just has not been the right fit. But I am really hopeful that there will be. And I just think whoever finally purchases that property is going to be so proud, and it's going to be such a win-win for that buyer and the city. But unfortunately, it's taking a little longer than expected. So.
Well, thank you. We appreciate your efforts. And I got to tell you, I've been saying for years that a Chick-fil-A would do so well in the heart of our city. It's the heart of the Tri-Cities. You tell them that when you talk to them. The heart of the Tri-Cities. And they're going to come from Beachside, Ormond, Daytona, Holly Hill, and they'll have the line around the building as well. So thank you for that. And we appreciate all your efforts to help sell City of Holly Hill. And also thank you for understanding that we are limited in the amount of space that we have. We cannot expand, and so the properties that we have are the properties forever, and this is one large one on US 1 that we still have the control over, and so we got to make sure that it's meaningful to the community, and so we appreciate you knowing that and understanding that as well, because I know your job is just to sell, but it's unique working with us because we actually care what goes there. It's not like a typical person selling a property and doesn't care about it after. So thank you very much. And are there any questions from the commission? All right.
Chick-fil-A is super busy long before COVID.
Yeah,
If you ever been to one in St. Augustine, they like 3 lines around the building all the time.
yeah.
It's ridiculous. And they're almost-
But they're fast.
There's 2 new Wawas that are real close. But Chick-fil-A is quite a ways away.
But they're super efficient and fast. In fact, I read a story about a city actually getting with them through the pandemic to they had some of their engineers come out and help them with COVID lines to get people through faster. And I believe it was Orlando. It might have been Orlando that did that. But
And that's what I'm seeing. The one in Port Orange has this really expansive protection. You know, you're ordering outside now in the line.
yes.
But they did that before, but now they're doing it on a pretty massive scale, and
Yeah.
it's so efficient, and it's so aesthetically pleasing. Their landscaping is gorgeous. But any Chick-fil-A I pass, there's a line, no matter what time of day it is, so.
And what's interesting is they have engineers that literally are engineering how to get people through the line. And so build, the two properties in this, the one in Ormond and Daytona, was built before the crazy demand that it is now and lines around. And they've had to do makeshift things, like the one in Daytona has a makeshift tent up there right now. I don't know how they have that in there due to code and whatnot, but I'm sure they worked out something. But it'd be interesting to see a brand-new design and how they would design that. So anyways,
What this franchise owner told me was, in Port Orange, it's too small. It's .9 acres, and what they want now is more like 2, Ridgewood, almost 2 or even 3 acres.
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Keep knocking on their door until they say yes. Thank you very much. So with that, we will entertain, I will entertain a motion for approval to, what exactly, to,
Extend the contract.
Extend the
and whether or not
contract.
you want to add the 8th Street property when it comes available to be sold.
okay. Do you want to include the 8th Street property as well? Okay.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion from Commissioner Johnson to extend the real estate contract for 1 year. Is it 1 year? With Marta Pascal. Am I saying your last name right?
Right.
And to include the 8th Street property if we're able to buy it through this deal coming up. And your second,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Danio. Any discussion needed? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
That's all for me.
That's all? All right, Mr. Simpson, anything?
Nothing additional.
Okay. Mrs. Manning? All right. Scott, all right. I have a few things to talk about. First off, Veterans Day is coming up on Thursday, and thank you, Commissioner, out there for bringing that up. And we're always very, very thankful to our veterans. I want to let you all know that out here at the Veterans Memorial, the one we've had forever over by the boxcar, at 10 a.m., there will be a veterans event, and you all are welcome to attend that. Also, we have the Christmas tree lighting coming up in the parade, and thank you to Val once again for getting our Miss Florida and Miss Florida teen. It's amazing. So, thank you very much. Another thing that I wanted to bring up, and I meant to get with you before on this. I was driving down US 1, and I saw the palm trees at night. It was dark, and I couldn't see the palm trees. And I remember talk a while back, and I don't remember what we decided, but I thought we were going to try to get uplighting on them.
We don't have power that runs down the center.
No power. And then I started thinking, man, for Christmas, they'd look beautiful with Christmas lights on them and
Power, the only place we have power is where the two
signs are.
signs are at the north and the south end.
How hard would it be in the future to get power out there?
When you say hard, it's possible, but it's costly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's no different than running, you're either going to have to run power from the sides of the street into the island, or you're going to have to run power down the center of it. And either way, you're dealing with the DOT because it's a federal road.
What about solar, like uplighting? Wonder if those would be,
I'd have to look into that. I'm looking at solar for sidewalk lights
Right.
on Riverside Drive. I didn't look to see what the effect solar has on the uplights. I'd have to see how much power.
I just think we spent a lot of money on those trees, and it is gorgeous, and I know I've gotten a lot of compliments on them.
Grass
But at
is so
night,
good.
yeah,
It's just perfect.
but at night you drive by and you can't see that. I think it would, at nighttime, it would really make the city look gorgeous coming down there.
Solar lights cost.
Yeah, yeah. And I appreciate you looking into the solar lights as well along Riverside Drive. I don't know if any of you had talked to Joe about it or not, but there was an email that came through from a citizen with an idea to put up decorative, really nice light lamps along Riverside Drive. And I've had complaints before from people. In fact, a friend of mine who lives in Marina Grande, and she says, she runs all the time and she has to carry lights with her because there's certain sections that are dark. And so, she wants to feel safe. So those lights would be amazing. I think it would just take us to that other level when we talk about image, moving that forward. So I'm all for that as well. Thank you for looking into that, Mr. Forte. And the last thing I wanted to bring up was I don't know if you guys have heard, but there was an attack on a dog from a coyote. And I know the chief, you were dealing with a complaint. I was copied on that email. Thank you for responding to that. And actually, if you'd like to come up to the mic for a second, because I understand that you're putting together a community meeting to talk about coyotes and educate the public on what we can and cannot do. I've received many phone calls asking the city to go in and remove it, and I know Mr. Forte has. We've talked about it. Obviously, we can't do that. It's a state issue, and am I saying that correct?
Yeah, coyotes are abundant throughout all of the state of Florida. If you go on the FWC website, there's actually a map that shows you where these colonies of coyotes are. And it's a challenge because depending upon these packs of coyotes, technically somebody can exterminate a coyote. When you exterminate a coyote, the pack then tries to replenish the pack by impregnating and building that pack up even more.
Wow.
So the only thing that the FWC website instructs us to do, because they are skittish animals, is to scare them away and keep your animals indoors, keep your trash indoors, and don't give them a food source, and they'll go elsewhere to look for it. But in their abundance, they're a pest animal that are basically here to stay. But we are going to, the chief did contact FWC, and we're going to bring in and schedule an educational session separate and apart from Neighborhood Watch and everything else to educate the public and continue to post these things on our social media pages.
Great. Thank you for that, Chief. Do you have anything to add to that?
Just to echo that, I did speak with the biologist late this afternoon, and you spoke about, they call that hazing, believe it or not, hazing, keeping the animal away. They're not up to do the face-to-face meeting, but they can teach us how to do a Zoom type Facebook Live that they will do, and it will go live. They'll set up a person who can answer questions, and they'll vet the questions so they're appropriate, but they do this all over the state, and they're working on that now, so we'll advertise for that and everything.
Yeah, when you advertise it, I know Sergeant Marquez goes on a lot to the Holly Hill Neighborhood Watch Group, which that's where a lot of those complaints are. Also on Nextdoor as well, so if you could try to get those out to those places, maybe we could get a lot of viewers to tune in there. And, you know, I think that doing it digitally like that, I think more people will be able to tune in. You may only get 10 people in person, but you may get 100 people if you do it that way. So that actually might be a better idea.
Yes.
So, thank you for doing that, Chief.
Thank you.
All right. All right, that's all I have tonight. So now we'll go to Mr. Danio.
Commissioner Danio, just wanted to mention about the trunk or treat, which turned out to be a great success. Congratulations to Sammy for doing a good job. Seemed to have a great turnout. I didn't see you, Val.
I was there till about 20 after.
I was like, and I apologize because I had my weekends mixed up. I was supposed to be out of town, and then I said, wait a minute, and it ended up being, I was in town, which worked out, but I got to be a spectator, but anyway, and then also the Friday night, or Friday, was a massive rainstorm, and Antoine and his team worked real hard. Thanks for stepping up and putting our city back to life, I guess. And then Saturday, we went to that Rum Festival thing, and I was really impressed with the house and some of the pictures. It was all authentic pictures from back in the 20s and 30s and stuff, and it was real nice to kind of learn some stuff about our city's history. And I understand that McCoy had a few houses all along Riverside, and it was kind of neat to see that. And so, yeah, you know, just don't know. Like, I think Marta said it best when she said, a jewel in the crown. It's like our city's kind of a jewel in a big crown of Ocean County, so. But that's all I had to say.
Awesome. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Johnson?
I don't have much. I'm just glad that the city of Holly Hill seems like it's getting more of a reputation now than it has ever of having more community projects rather than just automotive and things like that, and all we have, getting more into recreational things and like the Pictona things, and it's going to be so much better when it all gets completely finished, and I'm sure it will soon. And I'm trying to be a part of it as well, which is pretty costly to do it, and I hope it all works out good. But it's nice that we can say that we're more of a center now. People talk about us to come to Holly Hill for more recreational purposes more than shooting a game of pool or something like that. But I just wish we could somehow or another get together and have some kind of a discussion workshop or something about how much traffic problems we could possibly have when Phase 2 of Pictone opens and have so many giant tournaments and things like that. There's going to be a lot of traffic. And I know for sure that the GPS is going to guide everybody off of the interstates, all the interstates on the LPGA. So we have to think about it and concentrate on LPGA. Even at the last PPO meeting, even Big John brought up the thing that everybody's real nice at the TPO meeting, and everybody likes to talk about the discussions of this budget and that budget and different things, but he pointed the finger to me, and I was the only one that ever wants to talk about the roads. And we need the roads, and we need more roads, because we're gonna have growth and things coming on. So if we could sometime just think about it, have it. Joe brought up to me about possibility of making the LPGA one-way coming into the city and bring the traffic in and let them go back out on 10th Street and Walker Street or whatever, to do it. But the main thing is,
Everything's an option.
that's just one option, to do something. And
Yeah, I agree. And speaking of transportation and roads, do you know yet about the federal transportation bill that has passed, and if maybe we're able to tap into some of that? It's 1.2 trillion, or will that all go through the TPO?
Yeah, if it's federal, generally those are filtered through TPOs.
Okay.
It's just starting with that, so nobody really knows yet. They'll put a lot of things out in the media, and a lot of it's not true.
Yeah.
But the problem with those funds is they're set aside for federal roads. They're not set aside for local roads.
Okay.
So just like we had with the recent discussion on LPGA, when Mary and Gabby did go to a meeting with the DOT, and the DOT kicked it back to being a local issue.
The other thing I had was just remember, the Veterans Day is coming up on Thursday morning. What is it, about at 10 o'clock?
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock. And if many people that could would come to that, it would be good. But one thing that a lot of people don't tend to remember is the families of the veterans or the people in the military suffer more, I think, than the actual people in the military do. They go through the problems. They're the ones that have to go through the loss and everything that goes wrong. I've been there and seen it too many times, and I know that's what happens. So just remember the families as well, not just the veterans.
Well said. All right, is that it, Commissioner?
For me,
Any further business? Seeing none, this meeting is adjourned.